StackOS is an open protocol that allows anyone to deploy a full-stack application, decentralized application, blockchain privatenet, or mainnet node to a decentralized cloud. Think of it as Amazon Web Services, but it's cheaper, more secure, and is powered by cryptocurrency. Hey everyone, and welcome. This is Robert with Altcoin Buzz, and in today's video we are taking a look at StackOS, which is an open protocol that allows anyone to offer a decentralized cloud where people can deploy a variety of applications. Now, the important thing to understand is that whenever we're doing anything with the internet, whenever we build an application, that application has to live somewhere. And traditionally, the way that we do it now is we will deploy this application on a centralized server. Now, although applications will typically be deployed on AWS or a variety of other platforms, there's several inherent flaws with this model. First off, they are centralized services. There's really kind of almost a oligopoly of these service providers, with AWS, Microsoft Azure, and then Google having the vast majority of all traffic. So obviously they kind of can use this to their advantage, raise up their prices. So it's not really a competitive market space, which if you're a small business, if you're a newer developer, you know how important it is to keep your costs low. Not only are these companies able to raise their prices because they don't have a lot of competition, but on top of that, because they are centralized servers, centralized providers, it's very easy for them to operate in a way that censors certain customers, certain users, and on top of that, security can sometimes be lacking. As we see, there is a history of these services, of these providers being hacked. So what StackOS wants to do, it wants to take all of the advantages of hosting things on the web, but it wants to combine them with blockchain technology, decentralization, and then obviously being powered by cryptocurrency. So in this video, we're going to jump in, see a little bit about what it does, how it works, some of the advantages that it can offer. So first off, I want to say that this is something that is still in development. It has not been fully rolled out, so you're kind of getting in a little bit early on this. And with that being said, there's obviously great potential, but I do have to be honest that some of the features aren't currently live, so a little bit of this will be forward looking. So if we look at the basic functionalities of StackOS, we see that you have the ability to deploy applications. Now, obviously, this is kind of a standard default feature that's going to be involved with any service, but it's still important because the way that you deploy this is through staking. And I'll get into a little bit more of the tokenomics model later, but the cool thing to know is that this is all powered by cryptocurrency. It's a decentralized cloud, so individuals and enterprises can earn by contributing resources to the StackOS decentralized cloud. So not only can you host your projects, your applications on this cloud, but by providing resources to the cloud, you can earn from basically hosting other people's applications as well. Users can run their own private test nets to test out decentralized applications. So if you're building an application, you don't want to deploy it to mainnet, you have the ability of running a test net on StackOS. And then kind of getting more into the cryptocurrency side of it, you have two sides of the same coin. You have the ability to earn by providing liquidity. So if I want to provide resources to the Stacks network, I can earn cryptocurrency for that. And then on the flip side, if I want to access resources, if I want to host my applications, things like that, I can do that by staking tokens as well. So what I do find interesting about this model is that it's very much pay to use. And what I mean by that is with other services, you might be paying for a lot of storage, a lot of space that you're not actually using. But with StackOS, everything is done by cryptocurrency, and you basically stake your cryptocurrency to access these web services. So let's suppose that I want to host a decentralized application, I want to host a website for my business, whatever the case may be, I'm hosting something on StackOS. Now, the cool thing is that I do this by staking several different cryptocurrencies. So I can stake Stack tokens, which is obviously the native token. I can stake Ethereum, Neo, and Gas for my claim on memory, CPU, disk space, and bandwidth. So this is something that will be familiar to any of you who have done a little bit with the Wax blockchain, because when we come from Ethereum, when we come from Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, we're used to doing everything in the native currency. So to make a transaction on Ethereum, you pay Ethereum gas. However, with StackOS, you need different resources for different things. So you need a combination of memory, CPU, disk space, and bandwidth. And you get different amounts of these from staking your cryptocurrency. So it's kind of like the Wax blockchain, where Wax is the underlying token, but you might have to stake different Wax to get more RAM, different CPU, different net, things like that. So I do want to point out that you're able to access all of these components of what you need to power your decentralized applications by staking either of those cryptocurrencies. And then as you begin to consume resources, so as you use up that bandwidth, as you use up those resources, that RAM, that CPU, all of those things, the cryptocurrency that you have staked is consumed. So it's sitting there, it's staked, it's ready to go. And then once you start using those resources, it is then consumed, it's distributed to those StackOS nodes that are running the network. So it's really a decentralized way of making sure that you get the power that you need to run your application, whereas the people providing that power, providing that resources, they are getting rewarded for doing so as well. So it's a win-win situation for everyone involved. Now, one thing that I do have to be clear about, I am not a developer. I do have a very small amount of programming experience, but it's quite limited. So when we start talking about the actual application development, I'm not going to be able to give a whole lot of information other than to kind of just hit the points that they've listed for us on their website. So it says you can develop your application in any languages, and then you can also deploy private test of Ethereum, Neo, and other popular blockchains privately to test their dApps. So you can write your program in any language. You can set up a test net, you can run it to make sure everything's good, make sure everything's available before you spend that time, that energy, and those resources to push out your application to mainnet. Now, one thing that I found very interesting is just as we can pay for the resources on the network, just as we have to stake cryptocurrency to deploy our application, what's really interesting to me is that we can flip that around and we can actually earn from the applications that we've deployed as well. So it says applications deployed using StackOS can leverage the staking protocol to earn newly minted Stack tokens. So as your application gains traction and increases the utility of Stack tokens, you will benefit from your app's adoption. Both developers who create applications for the community as well as the developers who run the application will benefit. So deploying on Stacks is like building a lifelong asset. So if you deploy your assets on Stacks, as Stacks increases in popularity, you're getting those Stacks tokens, but the value of the Stacks is going up because as people kind of come to this blockchain, as they come here for these great applications, the value of the Stacks token is going up. Obviously, you're getting more Stacks token from deploying these applications, so you're getting more of the token, and the token is increasing in value, which makes it a win-win for these developers. And then lastly, we have the ability, as I said, of earning these Stacks tokens from contributing to the network. So community members who are excited to run their own nodes can contribute compute resources to the cloud. As your resources get consumed by the applications deployed, you as a node owner will receive payments in Stack tokens, Ethereum, Neo, and Gas. So it kind of gives you the ability of earning that profit potential in a variety of cryptocurrency tokens. So with that being said, I realize that this is in the early stages. I realize that it's not fully rolled out. And more importantly, I realize that I am not a developer. So what I do want to do is go through a little bit of a guide that they've written to show you how you would deploy an application, just to kind of give you a walkthrough of the basis process, show you that it's all done with cryptocurrency, that it's done in a decentralized way that is fair and impartial and allows you to deploy your applications in a decentralized way. So the first thing that you're going to do is go ahead and click and log in with your MetaMask. Now, right now it's on Coven Test Network. Obviously, that's going to change as things progress. Now, as I said, in order to deploy our application, we are obviously going to need a variety of resources. So you can see here that they're buying the different resources they need. They need those CPU millicores, they need storage, memory, and bandwidth. And then they're buying all of that with the underlying tokens here. From there, we have the ability to create your application. And then this is where things get tricky for me because I know absolutely nothing about creating or deploying an application, but I do think it's important to show that you buy those resources using cryptocurrency, you deploy your application, and then on top of that, you have to allocate your CPU and memory. So remember that you've bought those different resources using the Stacks token or the other tokens that are supported. You then have to set how much you want to devote to each program. So that's just a very general overview of how you deploy an application. Now, I specifically want to go into the benefits of why you would choose StackOS versus perhaps another competitor such as Azure, AWS, something like that. So what Stacks does is it's obviously a decentralized cloud application. So you've got benefits with decentralization, but you've also got all the benefits of the cloud. So I just want to go through this article that they've written here that kind of highlights some of their value propositions. Number one, they aim to be cheaper. So by focusing on a decentralized system where various people can contribute resources instead of having everything centralized, they're hoping to be cheaper. Not only is it decentralized, but remember, when we talk about these traditional cloud services, we've really got three big players. So there's kind of an oligopoly where they can kind of keep those prices artificially high. When you've got a decentralized network of thousands or hundred thousands of people all renting out a little bit of CPU or computing power, there's more of a free market incentive for the price to kind of reach an equilibrium level. So it is intended to be cheaper. The price will be determined using data from the DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and the infra node providers. Number three, launching an application on StackOS is anonymous. So as I tried to show you, and again, like I said, I'm not a developer, but as I tried to show you going through some of those guides that they had, there is no point in that where I have to give up a passport, a driver's license, any kind of KYC information. Even if we have great companies, like let's suppose AWS tries to keep their prices low, let's suppose that they don't abuse users through censorship or giving preferential treatment to one group. The thing about a centralized service is that you really have that singular point of failure. So I know I brought it up before, but if you think back to where AWS went offline, right? So many different companies were tied into AWS and all of those systems just completely shut down. They completely went offline. With this, it's unstoppable. So even if a single node provider gets deleted from the network, if something happens, what happens is the application will fail over to another instance in real time. So there's really no ability to stop this. It just rolls over. It just keeps on going like nothing ever happened. And that's one of the key advantages that blockchain and decentralized applications have over those centralized systems, is that because they're dispersed, because they're distributed, there's really no one centralized point of failure that can bring down your entire organization. And then this is absolutely mind-blowing right here. Marketplace for a decentralized economy allows applications to be NFTs. So the original author can be incentivized when an application is deployed from the marketplace. So think about this. Instead of your application just being lines of code, it's obviously still going to be lines of code, but now it's an NFT. It's an item, right? So I can transfer that NFT. I can transfer that application. I can have ways of monetizing that application every time that it's transferred, every time that it's moved. So that's absolutely mind-blowing. The concept of an application not just being deployed and earning resources and doing things like that, but actually being represented as a non-fungible token itself. One-click deployment of applications from the marketplace. And then this is something that I like as well. As other cloud providers, the revenue goes to shareholders. However, with StackOS, those shareholders are the individuals that are contributing resources to the cloud. So we're not sending them to some corporate board of directors. We're giving them to the people that are actually providing those resources in the form of CPU, bandwidth, various things like that. So it's a win-win situation where the benefits are really distributed throughout the entire ecosystem. You've got people deploying these applications, generating business, generating traffic. You've got people contributing resources and getting rewarded for that as well. So obviously that's a general overview of the protocol. That's a little bit about how it works. Now I want to get into the thing that everyone always wants to know about, which is the tokenomics. So again, when we talk about tokenomics, I want to be clear that it is not financial advice. It's not telling you what to invest in, not telling you what not to invest in, but I do think it's important to know a little bit about what the utility of the token is, as well as where you can find it to trade if you choose to do so. So with that being said, some of the utilities for the Stacks token, obviously, as we talked about, buying those resources to deploy your smart applications, your decentralized applications. However, there's so much more utility than that with the underlying Stack token. So we need to understand that the Stacks network is really powered by these things called nodes. And in order to become a node, the operator of that node must stake a certain amount of Stacks tokens. And the reason that running a node requires these staked Stack tokens is because there needs to be a strong financial incentive for people to keep their node online to make sure it's up and running, because this entire system is built on the premise of keeping things up, keeping them operational, giving users this maximum uptime. So staking these Stacks tokens kind of ensures that these node providers that are providing resources have a financial incentive to have very high uptime. So whether you're running an infrastructure node or a beacon node, you do need to stake a certain amount of Stacks tokens, which the beacon nodes will be a little bit smaller. You will have to stake a little bit less if you want to run a beacon node. So you have to stake Stacks to run these nodes, but on the flip side, as a reward for running these nodes, you do get these Stacks tokens that are mined from providing all of these different services. So obviously, if you're deploying an application, you need to have those Stacks tokens, as we talked about. Remember, you're basically staking them in exchange for those resources. So staking those Stacks tokens to the smart contract, those tokens are then converted to USDT when being sent to the infrastructure nodes and beacon node providers for payments. Licensing fee, if there's any kind of marketplace applications that allow users to deploy applications, they could be licensed. Obviously, that would be in the Stack tokens as well. Applications in the marketplace, again, paying with Stack tokens. So obviously, as this is a decentralized organization, the Stack token is going to be a governance token as well. So in order to vote, you need to stake these Stack tokens, and then you can vote on a variety of proposals that affect the network. So for example, what are the different fees, things like that. And then lastly, there is a liquidity pool function as well. So Stack tokens will be locked in a liquidity pool to allow the infrastructure protocol to convert Stack tokens to USDT that are needed for payment and cloud storage. So a variety of different use cases for the Stack token. The primary one, at least kind of from me being from the outside looking in, is you're going to need those tokens to deploy your applications, and then you're going to earn those tokens as a reward for providing resources to the network. So with that being said, if you're interested in the Stack token, again, not telling you to invest in it, but if you are interested in it, there are a couple places where you can get a hold of it. Currently, it looks like the largest market for this is on Uniswap V2. So we're going to go to the Stack Ethereum trading pair there. And what you'll see is that we have the ability from trading from a variety of cryptocurrencies into stacks. And then if we are doing this on the Pancake Swap for Binance Smart Chain, we're simply going to agree to import this token. And then let's suppose what I want to do is I always like going from Tether USDT. That way you can kind of see the price in dollar amounts. So for 1 USDT, we get 7.2 stacks, or to flip that around, it's about 14 cents per each stack token on the Binance Smart Chain. So just wrapping everything up, StackOS is a decentralized, cloud-based platform that allows anyone to deploy a blockchain privatenet, a mainnet node, a decentralized application, or a full stack application. It's designed to improve upon several of the flaws of existing systems like Azure or AWS, in that it will be powered by cryptocurrency. It will reward the people that contribute to the network. It will be decentralized and be more private as well as more secure. So as always, I'd like to thank you for watching the video. I hope you got something out of it. Always feel free to leave any comments that you may have down below, and I will see you next time.